Hey y'all, thanks for joining us here at the Two Fish Technologies Laboratory. They call it the shop, I call it the lab because these guys are a little bit of mad scientists in their field, and that field is computer and networking, IT, but really they focus on cybersecurity, network security, and penetration testing. And that's something that we want to talk about today. Josh Knighton is here with me. Josh is the owner, and he leads the entire charge from the technicians working and building out new buildings so that their cybersecurity is correct. And really today we want to talk about something that hits all of us, and that's HIPAA training, and HIPAA in general. Now there have been some rule changes. We've got the HHS website that we can pull up. Dave, if you want to pull that up for us. Health and Human Services has proposed a change to the HIPAA ruling, and that change can be found. We'll drop that link in the pages below, but you can take a look at how the HIPAA rules changing, because the problem is that not all of the businesses or clinics that pertain to the HIPAA ruling stay compliant or stay up to date with the latest security measures of keeping patient identity, patient information secure. 94% of regulated entities failed to implement appropriate risk management activities. Josh, tell us a little bit about that problem and maybe how you overcome and how this rule is going to charge folks to take a look at their cybersecurity.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Caleb. The new proposed changes are like the most significant ones since like 2013, I think, was the last time they made kind of a sweeping change. It really kind of moves things from the optional or you might qualify to have to do this stuff to everybody has to do it. And so, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more in detail about a few of those things, but these changes really affect everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a chiropractor or a dentist or anybody. It's across the board, and most, especially smaller offices, just don't have a lot of these things, implemented. So it's really hard and really expensive to do it on your own, and that's where we come in. We provide a more of an affordable solution, but we also check all the boxes and really kind of exceed the requirements, to be honest. So
yeah, you mentioned the cost, and it's been estimated that implementing these costs will be $9.3 billion in the first year, $6.8 billion annualized.
Yeah, so, which is not individuals. It's across the. I know that's funny, but yeah, across the gamut, it's a huge change. It's going to be very very costly, and a lot of people don't even know that these changes are coming. It's just now starting to get out where word's getting out, and people like us are posting things about it, just to educate our customers, just as a service. So
that's it. Is just getting that education piece out there.
Yeah.
So that people know, yes, you're going to have to make these changes. These changes are coming down, and the rulemaking process timeline goes something like this. In January, the proposed rule was published in the Federal Register, and public comment closed at the 7th of March. So we don't expect that the proposed rule may be finalized and published until mid 2025. And
they really say like 120 days or something.
Right,
like that.
It's a federal process in rulemaking. Yeah. But we want to get that message out there early, put it on your radar so that you are aware and you can make a good decision about your security needs. So let's go through some of these questions and what are the most significant things that someone needs to be looking at for their cybersecurity concern? What are those key things to implement to see if you even what you need and how to meet those challenges?
Yeah, a lot of it is really proving that you're doing a lot of it, a lot of the changes and a lot of the security measures. So one of the main things is like written documentation. You have to document all of your security rules, explicitly too. So you have to say, this is the requirement, this is what we're doing to fulfill it. And you have to keep that up to date as well, which is not always fun. And then for sure you have to have a asset inventory, a network map, which as best practice, we do that for all of our customers anyway, which is nice. So we do all those things. There's a lot of risk management and risk mitigation. I guess the key word is risk, right? So they want to see risk assessments. They want to see, that you're implementing things, and actually, like, I had the chance to watch another webinar on this last week, and the guy works at HHS, and he was literally saying, like, in the audit process, which hopefully nobody watching this will ever have to be audited or go through that process. But during the audit process, the main thing is they want to see that you're on top of your stuff, you're ready to go, you have all your documentation gathered, and then that you're actually making improvement. And that was one of the things that's kind of changed, is that they want to see that you're actively involved or engaged in all of these things. So a few other things that are new to this are implementing mandatory encryption, like data encryption at rest and in transit, which that's been existing for a while. Required multi-factor authentication, which makes everybody just so happy that you have to get your phone out just to log into anything. Network segmentation, which is pretty standard again too. And then of course, anti-malware, antivirus protection, things like that. They also are requiring, and this is a big one that I think kind of sets Twofish apart a little bit, is biannual vulnerability scanning and annual penetration testing. And that's something that we really do well, and we have a great tool for that.
Now, the penetration testing would be kind of that assessment, that risk assessment that you're talking about. Would that be taking a look at maybe what vulnerabilities you have? Or?
Yeah, so it's a part of so the risk assessment process involves all of these things. You just have to sit down and document it and say, if this happens, then we do this, right? And so part of the process is we scan your network from the outside in. That's the penetration test, and it says, here's your vulnerabilities. And so part of the risk assessment is, here's our vulnerabilities, here's what we're doing about it, or these are the things that we're accepting the risk on, whatever. And then the vulnerability scan is from the inside out. So it literally, we kind of pretend like we're a hacker from the inside, and then we test all of your security measures from the inside. And that's really more of the vulnerability scan as well. Now, our tool is artificial intelligence driven, so it's, some people kind of cringe at that, but it makes it where it's replicable. We don't miss anything. Like, I used to do this back in the day by myself, with my little pineapple and my laptop, and like trying to like actually hack into networks, and did that for banks for a long time. And
ethically, he did.
I had permission for sure, yeah. But I appreciate the new tools that we have, because it's replicable. So rather than relying on a human or a team of guys to come in and try to do that and penetrate your network, we have the tool that just does it the same way every time, so it's consistent. And then the requirement is annual and biannual on both of those, but we really take a different approach, and we like to do it monthly. So getting ahead of what that guy from HHS said, you want to see improvement and make sure you're on top of your stuff. So, the bare minimum requirement is doing it once or twice a year. We like to do it monthly, so that we can say, okay, here's our findings initially. We, plug some of the holes, we fix some of the vulnerabilities, and then we can do it again in another month, and then say, look, we've made these changes, and here's where we started, here's where we are now. So if you have that auditor come in, you can say, look, we're way on top of our stuff. We started here. Here's where we are now, and we're testing again in another month.
It's hard to show that you are mitigating things without actively scanning to show that either those holes and vulnerabilities are filled, or that or like you said, you're maintaining that risk or accepting the risk for the time being.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like threats change all the time. It's really hard to stay on top of them, and if you're only testing once a year, I really fail to see how you stay on top of those new threats. So that's why we like to do it monthly, because we really do care about your customers and your data. And just checking the box.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going to church on Sunday and just checking the box when you're not really involved. Like it's kind of that thing. Like we just really want to be involved and active in protecting your customers' data and making sure you're safe and all of those things too. Because the last thing you want to do is have to tell your customers that you lost their data
and try to rebuild that. And that's another key change is a 72-hour restoration requirement. Why is that significant, and how might an organization, go about meeting that challenge?
Yeah, so it really involves multiple things, but the main ones are one, we provide, and it's not necessarily required, but we feel like it's required to meet this requirement. We have a 24/7 managed security operations center, managed SOC.
Okay. And when you say managed, that one's by a human, correct?
Yes, it's staffed by a team of cybersecurity experts. That's all they do. They're giant nerds. They live and breathe it, right? And
nerds make the world go.
That's right. So they actually are monitoring firewall logs, our endpoint detection and response system, antivirus malware, our remote monitoring and management tool. And they are actively seeing those things in real time, and even 3 a.m. they'll respond to something and then notify us. Now during the work day, we'll see those and we respond to them typically, basically in real time too. But they see things like that's all they do is monitor that stuff.
Right.
And it's a 24/7, 365 thing. So it's really cool. So that's one step in the restoration is just how quick can you respond to these things. Because sometimes, to meet that 72-hour restoration,
you've got to act pretty fast.
Yeah, and sometimes the attacks last longer than that.
Right.
Especially if you have a really complex network or multiple sites. Ransomware can get into everything, and sometimes it takes a little time to do that. And so we just like to be able to respond in real time to those things. And then secondly, we can talk about immutable backups. I know it's on our list here too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something in this restoration piece that if you're not ready with a backup, how do you restore? But your immutable backups are something that just can really pop up.
So immutable is just a fancy word for saying it doesn't ever change. So in the security world, that's a must. So it doesn't matter once your machine is backed up. And by the way, we back up just to meet this requirement. We back up every machine in your office. We don't just back up the servers or the doctor's computer, right?
And you have HIPAA clients already.
Yes.
I mean, you're actively doing these backups daily, nightly for HIPAA compliant businesses.
Yeah, so it's a cloud backup. It's site redundant. Everything's encrypted, and they don't ever change. So when we get your backup, it's in the cloud in multiple locations, and it cannot change. So what that means is if there's a breach on a machine, we're able to, like in a typical scenario, like maybe somebody clicks on a link they shouldn't, which we'll talk about the cybersecurity awareness training, but maybe they click on a link they shouldn't and they get into something. We can respond to that in real time. We quarantine the machine, or the SOC quarantines the machine so it doesn't spread, and then we can literally just kick off or restore from right before they clicked on that email, and they're back up and rolling. Now it depends on how quickly your internet can download those things, and we have access to.
But the process is in place, and those pieces mean that you can get back up and running, even if it had to be on, say, a virtual machine.
Right.
You can put that backup that wouldn't change.
We can, because we have an image of your machine in the cloud. We can actually boot, and that's a great point. The virtual machine, we can actually boot that machine to the cloud, do some network wizardry, and then you can actually connect to it in the cloud. So you're actually up. Really, it takes about 15 minutes for that process. So, which is pretty cool. But
it's so important for these for a HIPAA compliant business because of the types of data that they deal with. So go on to our training, and that's one thing that I know Two Fish takes extremely seriously and provides very well. So why what do y'all provide, and how is that important? Most importantly, how is it important, and why is it needed in this HIPAA compliance?
Yeah, so cybersecurity awareness training is another thing that HIPAA's been talking about for a while, actually, and it is a part of this new proposed change. And all that means is we fake like spoofing emails, and you have to sit through hours
Training.
of mindless. I'm teasing. It's not hours of mindless videos, but they're short little segments. They're meant to be slightly entertaining. We chose a different kind of way to do it. My son got a speeding ticket not too long ago, right? And he had to do the online defensive driving.
Right.
Just mind numbing, and you don't pay attention. And then halfway through the video, it pops up and it's like, what color was the lady's shirt? And you're like, oh crap, I don't know. That's not how we're doing it, right? They're just short little videos that are actually engaging, and you do get value out of them. But it keeps your entire staff up to date on, kind of best practices, what to watch out for, things like that. And then we do send those fake emails out and stuff like that, but our system actually gamifies it. So it makes it more of like a fun thing rather than like a public shaming if you click on the wrong link. So there's like a leaderboard and you get scores. And if you click on the wrong thing, it makes you go back and watch a little 5-minute refresher video.
Try to relearn.
That you might but we check all the boxes, but it's more of a fun way to do it, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think a lot of what we learn and how to be safe online is that common sense goes a long way, but even I need to be reminded of a lot of things that are common sense and hammer those home, especially when you're just going through a day-to-day scenario and may not really read through what you're being sent.
Yeah.
In the future, I'd really like to get your thoughts on how someone who is needing to meet these requirements might think about the pieces of the puzzle, or really how to decide on whom to hire. I know in speaking to you and being around Two Fish, that I believe in your services and what you do, but if someone has somebody that they would rather work closer to home, say they're a couple states over, we still want you to be educated on how to make that good decision for your business.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the key things in selecting a partner when it comes to this stuff is really just making sure that they have experience in cybersecurity, of course, and really they have a holistic solution. So that's kind of our approach is we want to be your partner in all things. So we do managed help desk. We, do all those things. We pull cable. Like when we're done with this, I'm going to go pull cable. Like, that in Borger, like that's what we do. But we also do basically everything to meet the requirements. So we're a one-stop shop.
Yeah,
really. And that's really our heart, is to just be your partner in all these things and not just, kind of meet a requirement, move down the road kind of thing.
And that's what I found is that if you're just ticking boxes, you're going to get left behind on what's out there. You're getting an easy product that might look nice, but really doesn't do anything. The tools that Two Fish offers, I've seen them in action. I've seen them work and read the reports and can believe in those. As we continue to talk about some of the issues, what could an organization do right now while they know that this is coming up? I think what we're talking about is raising that awareness flag, getting you ready that you're going to have to do something. So those next steps in engaging with a cybersecurity expert, what might those look like?
It's really kind of a low-hanging fruit thing to me. So you really right now, to get ahead of these things, because most likely it's going to get implemented. You can find a partner that can conduct a gap analysis for you. Just compare kind of your current security practices up against what they're proposing. And little stuff that's fairly easy to do, like an asset inventory and a network inventory. There's tools out there to do that. Of course, we would prefer that you use us to do all those things, but you can do some of these things. Make sure all of your machines are encrypted. It just there's things that you can do. Multi-factor authentication, for instance, like you can do all those things on your own to kind of get ahead of it. But really, like I said before, we kind of like to jump in and just kind of help you meet those requirements.
Yeah,
but definitely just getting ahead of it is kind of the main thing.
The holistic approach is something that I really like about the way you go about offering your services. It's all included in one package, but yet you're trying to maintain where those vulnerabilities are and meet those vulnerabilities head on. You know, I'm kind of hitting a stopping place here. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I think one more good thing to add too is like this isn't like big scary stuff. Like you can see this and read it and hear about it and think, oh my gosh, this is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to get over the course of a few years, and I'm going to have to hire call these big companies but really because we have the expertise in house and we are locally in Amarillo, which is nice, and we're a small shop. We can do all these things and make it really digestible and really easy to approach. We're the ones that stress out over the rule changes, not you, right? And to add to this too, like if you're watching this and you're not maybe held to HIPAA requirements or HIPAA standards, we do this for everybody. That's kind of a unique thing to us too. We provide all of this for all of our clients. It doesn't matter if you're an accountant and you have 3 people working for you, which we have a couple of those, or you're a sports medicine clinic, that you definitely have to do this. We do all of these security measures for everybody because we really believe that everyone's vulnerable and everyone's business is valuable, and so we just want to protect everybody that we deal with. So.
I've heard you say before that that's really where Toothfish's heart is meeting those challenges where people's security might be at risk because that's their business and that's what they've built, just like Toothfish is a small business. Rule changes have been being implemented and changed up for a long time. The SEC, you can almost name any regulatory commission or agency, they've all got rule changes and they're happening. The way to keep up with those is by maybe checking in with your congressman or senator and getting the information there. Here at Toothfish, we have somebody or they have somebody in-house that is a policy expert on either federal, state, local policy, or even just taking a look at your insurance policy and seeing if your small business might need to be mitigating and showing that documentation in order for your claims process to move forward. So it's nothing to be scared about, but let Toothfish be that expert and they'll give you the best advice they know of and not lead you in a wrong direction. These live events there's something that we want to start doing more often. We've been trying to implement them, and if you're able to join us today, we appreciate that. We're going to let these live on the YouTube channel and try to get some good effort out of reaching out to clients.
For sure.
So tune back in with us. We're going to try at 12:30 on Tuesdays. The time may fluctuate a little bit, but just bear with us. And if you need anything, like, subscribe, DM us. What's another way to get in touch with Toothfish?
You can just email us too. So I'll give you Robert's email. He's our sales manager, but he's really more of a mentor to me too. His email address is just robert@twofishtechnology.com. And it's all spelled out, so TWOFISH.
Well, in the future, we want to use our tools and maybe we can get that up there and maybe show the certifications that Toothfish is able to meet. We thank Dave who helped us out. Robert, he's a mentor to several of us, and thanks for joining us, y'all.